Hello and welcome to the Space Between Ideas. I'm Blaine Gates. I'm trying out a little bit of a new format here today. Please bear with me as we get used to the streaming software and the new reality, which is that most people are watching these videos on their phone. Thus, you can see the new vertical format, and also that people are interested in seeing something when I'm describing things. And I just realized that all of the editing that I'm doing, I can probably just make it a little more simple because I already have all the documents, I already have all the different ideas, I already have all the different stuff it's already done. And I just need to display it. And editing, I mean, yeah, sometimes I cough or I sneeze. Um, Sometimes my dog makes funny noises, but in general, like editing is not a priority right now. Right now, the priority is having the capability to stream and having the skills to be able to stream and then having something interesting to say. So, going forward for the foreseeable future, we're going to be in this area called live. And yeah, so we've kind of stopped making videos for a little while. We're going to focus on live, see what we can do with live. And specifically right now, I'm doing this playlist. It's called State Purposes. If you click playlist, you can also see that we have a new playlist. It's called State Purposes Live Lecture Series. All right, so let's get going. Now, in the previous videos, what have we been talking about? We've been talking about this crazy big five personalities, and we're trying to figure out what makes you an industrious employee, what makes you really, really awesome at work. And in general, I felt like openness, of course, you need openness, consistent and cautious. Well, it depends because we talked about like the difference between somebody who's an auditor and then somebody who is more of a crazy wild-eyed scientist. Remember? So if we go down, you can see that we have the big thinker is really, really high in openness, while the auditor, the accountant, is low in openness. And then you can see conscientiousness, the innovator and the auditor are both very, very high in conscientiousness. So it's really conscientiousness. You have to have enough conscientiousness to get the job done, whatever that job happens to be. So yes, I would encourage some amount of conscientiousness. And if you're a crazy big thinker, wild-eyed scientist, then you still have to have at least enough conscientiousness, or you have to have access to a team that have people who are conscientious enough to make sure that the ideas eventually find their way on paper. I felt like these other areas about extroversion and agreeableness, they don't necessarily require the same, like, do I have to be empathetic to get the job done? Do I have to be, or what happens if I'm judgmental? Can I still get the job done? Because sometimes you get a pushy, difficult boss and they're like really low in agreeableness, but they're also high in extroversion, and it makes them a good boss because they're good with people. They're good like getting people to get the job done. And they like just constant conflict with people. They just love it. They just love connecting with people in this challenging, maybe not detached, but I mean, yeah, like emotionally detached. They don't care if they make you cry. So they're not going to agree with you. They're going to tell you to get the job done, and it's going to be a lot of stress. And that's just the whole point of these pushy, difficult bosses. And yeah, that's what the last couple of videos have been about. I've just been going over and over again. Now, then I introduced this other idea, which is this concept of the corporate menu. So inside of the corporate menu, then we have the making decisions, the thinking frameworks, data analysis, following orders, rules. We have these 7 different functions or roles in a company. And then recently, I was trying to introduce the state purposes checklist. And, you know, yesterday I was doing a lot of thinking because in the last video, we talked a lot about agendas, optimizing risk taking or exposure to risk, gain goals, purposes, sense of direction. I don't know, I feel like maybe that's not the best place to start. Maybe the best place to start is to combine these ideas. For example, like how do we combine the big five personalities to state purposes? And I think the best place to start with that would be the bottom. So let's take a look at this potential. For example, like maintain or enhance wellness. Maintain or enhance wellness. What are we talking about when it comes to maintaining or enhancing wellness? I think one potentially like useful way of looking at the categories of purposes or motivation is going to be connected to Fogg's motivation model. Because in Fogg's motivation model, we were saying that people are only going to do things if they are motivated to get the job done, they like the work that they're doing, or if you provide them with some kind of incentives. So that if I achieve this goal, then I'm going to get this other thing, right? So like if we look at the world of religion, you have these people that are like, if you're good, if you do everything I tell you to do. And sometimes these people are crazy, and sometimes these people are predators. And they say, if you do everything I tell you to do, then you will get the glory of God in the eternities. So you have to be very careful, because the people, maybe they're like, well, I'm not really interested in doing all the things that you're telling me to do. For example, a lot of religions, they ask you to pay money. And you're like, well, I don't really want to pay the money. I'm not motivated to pay the money. But are you motivated to the glory of God? And you're like, well, okay, fine. I want, if you can give me the glory of God, I'll give you the money. Okay. So maintaining or enhancing wellness, it can be broken down into a lot of different ideas. For example, maintaining or enhancing wellness, first you have to define what is wellness. Are we talking about physical wellness, emotional wellness? Are we talking about financial wellness? Are we talking about spiritual wellness? Remember in the last video, we basically broke it all down into three ideas. We got like the science perspective of how to create things with the physical world, how to understand the physical world around us. And then we got this other world of psychology where we're trying to understand the emotional world and how do we understand emotions. And then we have this thing which the scientists cannot see, and they say it's just the emotional world. But the religionists, they say, no, there's a spiritual world that you cannot measure with your scientific apparatus. And what Tom's argument here is that we all have this, or at least many of us have an innate... Gordon, why are you playing with your bone? You like to make noise. My goodness. I'm going to have to just run over there and get that bone from that dog. So maintaining and enhancing wellness is like, it's an important part of many people's lives. Now, how do we bring that back to like this idea of the 5 personality traits? Was there something that was connected to maintaining or enhancing wellness? Because I think that a lot of people who talk about personalities, and especially if you talk about Fogg's motivation model, then what you're trying to say is that people are going to be motivated to do things, to act in certain ways because of their personality traits. And well, then maintaining or enhancing wellness, we should be able to find something about that in the Big 5. In fact, I remember something about that. So if we go into here about consistent compared to easygoing. So consistent and cautious is here. That means that they are low in openness. Then we have easygoing, which means they're low in conscientiousness. And then if they are cautious, then they are low in openness. If they're careless, they're low in conscientiousness. I basically said that this box doesn't even exist because you can't be both consistent and easygoing. You can't be both cautious and careless. So I'm just having a hard time seeing, like, is there some aspect of this personality chart? You like this one? So if you're detached, you're challenging and detached, and you're solitary and you're reserved, you're probably living with your mother playing video games. So that would be a challenge. Anyway, so I don't really see like exactly maintaining or enhancing wellness. Just as an idea, this is obviously connected to conscientiousness because we're talking about interest in things. We're talking about interest in the world around me because we're looking at you, your personal body, and your job, and your fitness, and your maybe even your spirituality as how organized and dependable you are. If you're dependable, it means that your physical health is strong, and your financial health is strong, and your spiritual health is strong. It means that you are able to be dependable. You're able to help when people need help. So it seems to me that a person who is motivated to maintain or enhance their wellness, then they are also going to be relatively conscientious. All right, now how do we put that into a business scenario? This shows up in many different ways in the business world. So some people inside of their employment contract, for example, when I was like 18 years old, I remember that I had an employment contract and I read it and I found that I had like 4 or 5 hours a year of free psychological, I mean, like reimburse your time chatting with a psychiatrist or a psychologist. And I thought, well, I'm planning on moving to New York. I was like 18, 19. I was planning on moving to New York. And I kind of felt like maybe I have ADHD or something like that because everybody in that day, at that time in 1999, everybody had ADHD. And so I just said to myself, why don't I just meet with a psychologist, try to get a good idea of what's going on? And because my mom was like trying different things with me, and she also wanted to like try some natural homeopathic medicine, and nothing seemed to help. Anyways, I met with the psychologist quite a few times, like two times, and then she wanted to meet my mother, and so she had a meeting with my mother. The fourth or the third time was with my mother, and then the fourth time or fifth time or whatever, however many times I met with this lady, she came with her conclusion, which was she said, well, at first I was thinking of giving you a little bit of Ritalin, but I think that since you're moving to another country, and also I noticed that in your history and the things that your mother told me, it seems as though that you constantly bump up into problems, and a lot of these problems other children don't necessarily face the same way that you do, but you're able to find solutions and move forward. And I think it would be better if we don't give you any medication at this point and that you just use your ability to solve problems and move forward. Fast forward, like, 30 years or however many years till now. Now, I live in the country of Georgia. Like, I literally live right next to Russia and Azerbaijan. And then over here, we got the war between Russia and Ukraine. Underneath me, we got this war between Israel and Gaza, and pretty soon, whoever else wants to jump into that situation. Like, I'm right in the middle of it all. And like, I'm living with this crazy dog who seems to be really excited right now. And what is going on? Why couldn't I just get my hands on that Ritalin? you know? Anyways, life is crazy. So that's one story. Financial wellness, sometimes a business in your employment contract, they're going to give you like maybe a gym pass, maybe they build a gym in their office, maybe they have some kind of spa treatments, or you can have some work from home, some kind of work-life balance, or I don't know. So there's a lot of things that you as a company can do, and you as a person negotiating your employment contract can do to manage this issue about maintaining or enhancing wellness and getting it in your contract. All right, so let's just stop right there. And obviously in the next video, we're gonna move up to the next row, which is attain certification and other recognition. Tell me what you think of this new style where you can see me up here and you can see the text down there. And when I make shorts, that's actually the real reason. Because I can't really, when you use YouTube to share your screen and do a live video, then the screen is over here, and then like your image is way down here in the corner. And then when you use like an automatic AI like tool to generate your shorts, then it'll just make like you as the main image of the short, and your content is over here, so it doesn't make it into your shorts. So anyways, thank you for joining me, and we'll see you again next time.